helps confidence, and having couple weeks of feeling like your preparation was where you wanted it to be, and being able to, replicate that kind of went into, I think, little things. Like I went into the Pittsburgh game the first time really wanting to like operate well in the huddle. So I was really practicing making sure I was spitting out play calls clean and didn't want to have anything like just unprofessional happen where you're stuck in the huddle and you can't spit out the play call. So feel a little more confident with stuff like that after a couple games, and so now you can really focus on the different looks and going through your reads and stuff like that, and I did that before, but just maybe having a little bit more of a focus on it.
How much does Jamar mean to this offense when he's out there?
I mean, Jamar's one of the best receivers in the NFL, just like T. Higgins. And I think anytime you're that high of a caliber of player, and I think everybody just knows that, it's kind of unanimous opinion, then yeah, he's a huge part of the offense.
I know that as players and coaches, you guys like to look at it as like a week by week basis, but do you think there's anything to the fact that these are must-win games for you guys to even get into the playoffs? Does that maybe like sharpen the details for you guys during practice? Like, can there be a benefit to having to go into a must-win game?
Yeah, I mean, I think I don't want to speak for everybody, but for myself, I mean, I haven't really experienced a game that doesn't feel like all or nothing. Preseason games I would say preseason games, if anything, are even a weirder situation because like all the starters are hanging out, and this is like one of the few games they just relax, but then you're competing, and it doesn't really count towards your record. So coach's game plan, but it's not like they're kind of just running your base stuff, and your job is on the line. And so I would say those are a little bit of a weirder situation. Like when we get into normal regular season and even towards the end of the season, like game day feels intense how it should, versus like I've been in preseason games where I'm intense and I feel like my job is on the line because it is. Everybody else is kind of hanging out and pretty relaxed. So it's a weird thing for preseason, but I have not experienced a game where it didn't feel like a must-win.
How big of a deal is it to have had reps with guys like Trent and Dre, Charlie, in training camp and obviously early in the season? How much does that help when you lose a guy like Jamar, if you do?
Yeah, I mean, I think it helps. I think it helps more so that they're good players. I'm letting the play call and the coverage decide who I'm throwing to, and it's just expecting that guy to win. And I think you have to play like that if you're going to play fast at quarterback. So I got experience throwing to him on a scout team or preseason and stuff like that. But I think what helps most is that they're good players.
On a scramble drill, are you still doing that, letting the coverage dictate where you're going, or are the principles different when the play breaks down and like the TV play, obviously, in overtime?
Yeah, I think scramble drill, I know for the defense, it's like the play completely starts over. I've heard the DBs say that before. You stop the first play, and that's where guys that can extend or makes it difficult because you could have a great coverage, have it all shut down, and then it's, once the quarterback goes to extend and gets outside the pocket, it's almost like the play restarts. And so there's no real, I think once you get outside the pocket and it turns into a scramble drill, it's mostly just feel. I think that's where you see some receivers with really good feel. Like the one that comes to mind is Travis Kelce. I feel like every time, Patrick Mahomes extends, Travis Kelce's open, and players like that because they have great feel and they can kind of feel that pocket and not just be, blindly running with you. They'll run a little bit, feel like there's not a window and maybe stop, or they'll feel like they're open and stay open. And so there's a lot of feel involved. And then for the quarterback, it's just being smart with the ball and having that fine line of, knowing when they got you on the second play as well. So the first play is whatever you have called, go to extend. It's the second play of that play, and they got it covered. You got to know to throw it away.
What aspect of facing Pittsburgh the first time will help you the most in facing them the second time?
I don't know if there's any specific thing. I feel like any AFC North game, the records don't matter. The momentum, maybe one team's got some momentum, one team doesn't. It does not matter. It is just it's a tough, bloody fight basically, and it doesn't really matter what the momentum is either way. I've seen that happen multiple times. Just even with other teams when we're not involved, it's one team's kind of on a hot run, and then they go play at some team that maybe is not on a hot run, and it is a 14-17 loss for the team that was hot. And so the momentum does not matter in these games. We've played each other so many times. Our scheme versus their scheme. It's episode 20 or whatever of these two teams going at it, and so it throw the records out the window a little bit.
How have Andre and Charlie grown since you've seen them and just playing with them this year?
Yeah, I think reps are super valuable. They got a lot of reps in the preseason with me, and then just throughout practice. I think they get a lot of reps in practice because you got to be careful about workload with T, Jamar, and TB, with them playing a lot of snaps, and so they get a lot of reps there. Even I think also just for them playing special teams. I remember DJ Reader said this, and it always kind of stuck with me, is guys that get to play special teams, like you do get the feel of that game a little bit more. And so when all of a sudden you get thrown in at receiver, those snaps of being in the game and feeling that speed and feeling like you're not just on the sideline the whole time. I think those are valuable, and they both have ability. Like they're both good players. Thought of very highly in the building. Maybe haven't had as many opportunities just because of the guys we do have on the outside. And if it's a situation where they are called on to go win, then I have all the confidence in the world that they will.
The road games you played in Thursday night, Monday night, now essentially a Saturday night game here. What do you expect this atmosphere to look and sound like?
Loud, just like when we went there last year and the year before. It's loud. It's an AFC North battle in December, and it's going to be a very physical game.
A lot was made after the Jacksonville game. There were a lot of changes made off the Pittsburgh game, particularly on third down. I would imagine it's going to be not a completely different game to win, but I would guess it's not going to look like it did schematically as it did against that year the first time.
Yeah, I mean, we're in a Wednesday. What is today? Today's Tuesday, but it's a Wednesday for us. So, we just did normal downs today. I don't know what the third down plan is going to look like, but, we'll see.
That seems like a key thing for you the last 3 games, what you're able to do on third down, as opposed to what you did against Pittsburgh on third down.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're going to kind of mold your game plan to what you're doing well, with also having an awareness of tendencies. And I think with the Pittsburgh game, the first time you go back and watch, I mean, there's a lot that went into us only putting up 10 points. I mean, first they have a good defense, they made some good plays, but each time there's little details that maybe we weren't necessarily on top of. So, like I said, we're in a Wednesday right now. I don't know the third down plan, nor am I going to share it.
What did you make of your post-field goal reaction once you saw it? Did you have seen it yet?
I have seen it. Fully lost my mind. I think my one regret with that was, I mean, there's a couple. You go watch the film. It's never as good. It's never as bad as you thought. And we played unbelievable at a lot of positions that were not quarterback. And so, like just to rattle off a few. I mean, I throw a pick in minus territory in the fourth quarter. It turns into 3 points. I mean, that's lose the game type of play if our defense doesn't swell up. We lose DJ Reader, who's an all-pro level nose guard in the first quarter, and then we stuff them on third and short and fourth and inches. That's another one. We lose the game if they don't do that. And then I throw the ball up to T, and he makes one of the craziest plays I've ever seen. And then I have, an authentic reaction to, you keep it all pent up and then it comes out. But I guess my biggest regret was that that game turned into like my revenge game, when in reality there were so many things that went into getting that win, making sure that it's acknowledged that, it wasn't just my revenge game. It was a great team win.
You mentioned the interception. The offense really took off after that. Is that happenstance, or does something kind of click in you after you make a mistake like that?
I'm not sure what happenstance means.
Coincidence.
I don't know. I mean, it's it was definitely a time in the game where we waited until as late as we possibly could to start rolling. It'd be nice to start a little bit faster and put our defense in a better situation, and let them take the field with a little bit of a lead. I know every defense wants that. That's where all the stats come. Sacks, interceptions, a lot of those come when you get up early on a team. But I think it's just, for me, I felt like on that play I pressed and tried to make too much happen and tried to force a play that wasn't there. And that's when you're gonna have really bad plays at quarterbacks, when you start forcing stuff. So I kind of went to the sideline with the thought of, I don't know what's gonna happen in this game, but we're not going to force any more throws. Let's just be, let's stack some completions. Like I felt like when we started getting a couple first downs, maybe they started getting a little bit less blitz you like crazy and give you a little bit more basic looks, and then that was kind of when we wanted to, take not our shots, but just get a little bit of a rhythm going, instead of just going 3 and out and stalling out. So. Definitely waited a little too long. Would have liked to get rolling a little bit sooner on offense, but I think it's, we got a resilient group on offense and as a team, and I think that kind of showed.
Did you happen to see what Drew Lock did last night, and did you develop any kind of relationship with him coming out?
I know Drew from going to the Manning Passing Academy. Always been a big fan of Drew, and I did not see what happened, but I think anytime that's a story I can relate to, where you're getting thrown into a backup game or thrown into a game as a backup, and then you don't really know if you're going to play or not until the last second, and that is tough. To be able to go play well, I'm happy for him.
After the game, you joined Ted on the field with the residents from the Village of Marine.
Mm-hmm.
Why?
Well, because I took my family on the field and they happened to be there. It wasn't really like a well-coordinated thing, but I guess I could have lied and just said, just big charity guy. But
So it was happenstance.
yeah, happenstance. Yeah, it was happenstance. Yeah, I've gone to I'm really close to Ted, but that was it was the first time I even had the option to take my family down on the field. So when you're the backup, they don't really let you do that as much. So I kind of took advantage of that.
Why did you feel the need to go out of your way to make sure that you let people know, like, it wasn't just you personally, so they get paid back? Why do you feel like, you wanted to make sure that was real?
I feel like quarterbacks get too much blame or too much credit based on if you win or lose. So just like deflect some praise, I think would make me more comfortable. Maybe it's selfish.
Are you learning that more and more, the more and more you play, that the quarterback, even though there's a lot of other factors that go into winning and losing, but the quarterback still is the figurehead of the team?
I mean, I knew that. I played a lot of football in college, and had a lot of success in college and high school, and I think it just kind of comes with the position. And it's not that I don't think I'm playing well. I just want to make sure that it's highlighted that there's a lot that goes into it, and that it's not, the team aspect of it doesn't get lost just because I fully lost my mind after broke a helmet and all that.
So who has your paper wasn't on? Is that you?
I don't know. I'll be checking my paycheck, see if it gets payroll deducted. We'll get back to you.
You did call it authentic, that reaction, but is it out of character for your personality to have that kind of emotional release?
I mean, I'm pretty calm, but I'm still competitive. Like I'm not gonna fake. I don't know if you can fake that. I got a psycho look at my eyes a little bit, but yeah, I think you try and play the whole game calm, deflect the questions throughout the week. But like, I was in the back of my head, and it was just a pent up thing. I don't know. I have an edge, I guess. I'm not just like some robot, so I do have emotions, and I guess I just kind of showed there.
What would it have been like if it was the coaching staff that cut you that was still over there? Would it have been even more intense, do you think?
Nah, I don't care. It's fine.
Color and
I don't know. I think it's just the whole. I don't know. I'm over talking about the revenge game. It's a humbling league, and I'm not looking back, and we're moving on to the Steelers, and I'm very aware that every week is a new challenge, and excited for the new challenge.
Trey Hendrickson's done this year. How do you put into words just the impact he's created really from start to finish?
I mean, yeah, anytime you can put pressure on the quarterback, I know firsthand how difficult that is. I know there's a lot that goes into sacks, just like there's a lot that goes into touchdowns. But anytime you got to account for a guy, you know, whenever we show up here on Wednesday or you're watching film on Tuesday and there's a guy that creates some headache in the backfield, you know, you definitely have to account for it. So it's sacks are good. Let's hopefully have a lot more on Saturday.
I asked you last week about playing in big games, and you said that you played in big games. They're all big games for you. Are you able to step back and kind of understand the magnitude of what you're trying to accomplish in the last few weeks of trying to get this team to the playoffs, where a lot of people said they couldn't?
No. I mean, like I said, this is a pretty humbling league. I think the second you start stepping back and trying to look at the bigger picture and read into whatever someone's saying, I mean, then you're gonna get got. And I think the idea would be to avoid that. And I've seen some really good quarterbacks play really well, and then they go into a week and a defense hits them with something that they weren't ready for, or maybe they weren't prepared like they should have been, or who knows, maybe they did prepare really well and they just went in thinking like, hey, we're playing well and we're just going to kill these guys. But I guarantee you the Pittsburgh Steelers do not care that we played well the last couple games, and I don't really either. It's nice to win. It makes practice and just morale better. I'm not oblivious to that, but I think the second you start losing focus or anything, I mean, life will humble you, and the NFL will humble you, and every week's new.
Jake, I got a fun one for you with Christmas coming up. Your favorite Christmas gift you ever received?
Ooh. I don't know. I remember my first experience with an NFL Christmas was I remember Kirk Cousins got everybody custom suits, and it was like the first custom suit I ever had, and he had a tailor come in and got custom suits for the whole line and then the backup quarterbacks too. And I didn't think the backup quarterbacks were going to be included in that, and then we were. So it was, I think at the time, probably the most expensive thing I owned. Yep.
Is that a Christmas gift from Fred?